What's going on YouTube? Hope you guys are all doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this from. We are starting the day off right with your boy's coffee. In case you guys, I know there's always a lot of messages about what I get. Bam, there it is. So today's video, we are in another top secret filming structure, as you guys can tell. And behind me, we have my 2012 Lancer Evolution GSR. It is a 5-speed, it isn't the SST or anything like that. And ever since I made the switch to an Evo 10, the most requested video I've gotten from you guys, believe it or not, is the comparison between the Evo 9 and the Evo 10. Initially I was going to do some kind of like POV or put a GoPro in the car and just drive around, talk for like 10-15 minutes, but I don't really want to do that. A lot of the stuff we're going to be going over today is a lot of technical stuff, and I kind of wanted to talk to you guys more one-on-one about it, just because if I didn't do it this way, I feel like the information would get skipped over. It would be easy to ignore. So this Evo in particular, as you guys can tell, it is lowered on suspension. I recently got some Federal RS Pros put on there, and then alignment recently by ChewWorks. Car drives really awesome. The tires, now that you guys can see it in better lighting, are super beefy. Like the sidewall is just really thick. You could really see from like this angle right here that there's pretty good amount of poke. Like it's pretty aggressive. This Evo in particular too is a sight and sound package, so you have the little keyless entry thing right here. It has HID headlights and also has a Rockford Fosgate sound system, as well as a keyless entry. If you guys are new to my videos, I recently sold my 2006 Evo 9 to pick up this 2012 Evo 10. In case you've never seen any clips of it, I'm going to insert one for you guys right now.
There, didn't you?
Yeah, I was
compared to when we did the pull beforehand, compared to now,
yeah,
big difference.
Hell yeah.
I saw your face in the camera, you were like, oh shit.
Now the whole point of this video is honestly just to go over some of the technical aspects of the both cars. Both of them are better at different things, and to be honest with you, if you guys are in the market for an Evo and you're debating between the Evo 8, 9 or getting an Evo 10, this video should really help you out, just because as far as I know, there isn't anyone on YouTube who's really talked about these kinds of things. Let's get into it. So some of the obvious things, and the car's still filthy, I'm going to wash it today finally, because as you guys know, since I've owned this car, I have not washed it. Some of the obvious things, obviously the body is significantly wider. It is a little heavier. It's like 350 pounds heavier than a standard Evo 9 GSR. But with the wider body, you are able to fit more aggressive wheels. These are 18 by 10.5 plus 15 offset with a 275/35 18 tire all the way around. These 275/35 for our compound tires, they actually aren't really true to size. So if you run a 275, they actually fit more like a 285. And same thing for the sidewall. Instead of a 35, they actually fit more like a 40. So these tires are actually really aggressive. On an Evo 9 body, fitment like this would be essentially impossible, just because it's a smaller body. Another major difference with the cars is this has a 4B11T, which is a aluminum block, versus the Evo 8 and 9, they have a 4G63, which is an iron block. These cars, it's really weird because the Evos sound very similar. Like Evos still sound like an Evo. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but the exhaust note is pretty much the same when you have like a stock car with an exhaust. But the difference is that these cars, the turbo and the manifold and everything, the exhaust manifold is located right by the firewall, which you can see that heat shield right here. So if you were to remove a turbo, it's going to be located here. Also the downpipe and everything, you're going to be disconnecting things from this location, versus on the Evo 8 9, it's actually all here in the front. When you have stock location, you'll see the manifold and the turbo literally right here. Doing a downpipe on Evo 8 9 takes like 20-30 minutes or something. It's ridiculously easy. There are some differences with the engine. So for this one, you have dual MyVec, so it's MyVec on the intake cam and the exhaust cam. On the Evo 9, you have MyVec on the intake cam. On the Evo 8, you do not have MyVec at all. So some of you guys watching this are probably like, what's that have to do with anything? Why is that important? If you have a car that has valve timing spooling up, let's say, I don't know, like a 6466 versus a car that doesn't have any valve timing, the car with valve timing is going to spool that turbo up more efficiently. It's going to spool the same size turbo quicker because of the valve timing. Another thing too is that these have smaller exhaust ports in the 4G63, so you get a lot more velocity with air. Kind of think of a garden hose. If you put your thumb on it, you get more pressure out of the garden hose. That's pretty much what happens with these engines. So basically, in combination of the dual MyVec and the smaller exhaust ports, these get crazy response. Like, it spools pretty big turbos really quickly, way faster than the 8 and 9 in my opinion, especially if you drive, let's say, like a GTX 3576 Evo 10 versus like a GTX Evo 8, you know, same turbo. You're gonna really feel the difference on how much mid-range and much more torque that these cars produce in comparison to the 8. So if you guys are looking for response, in my opinion, the Evo 10 is going to be a lot better, especially too the shop that I go to, 5150 Racing, who I'm going to be getting the car tuned by once I put the turbo kit on. The Evo 10s at the shop, you know, if they're running GSC S2s, so we're talking GSC camshafts with GSC springs and retainers, like the 5041s, you can rev these cars to like 8,500 RPM on a stock bottom end, which is insane. And a lot of them hit full boost at like $4 grand or like 4,300. You know, if you have a Borg Warner like 8374, 9274, 9174, there's a couple different options in the market now. These things spool up really, really fast, which is awesome for a street car if you're looking for response. Tons of grip, you know, like I said, with the big tires, it's a wider body. And in combination of that too, when we're talking about mechanics, these cars also have what's called active yaw control, which the 8s and 9s in America did not come with, which you can control your AYC controls here. You have tarmac, gravel, snow, which I'm sure you guys have seen many, many times. AYC is insane. It's a combination of electronics and mechanical stuff. The Evo 9s have ACD, which a lot of people get those mixed up. For some reason, they all think that the all-wheel drive system in the Evo 9 is the same as the Evo 10. I don't know why so many people get those confused. I guess because there's a button and they all say tarmac, gravel, snow. That's where people get that misconception, but they are not the same thing at all. These have an AYC pump versus the other 9s have an ACD pump. The ACD is more mechanical versus AYC is electronics and mechanical. It'll actually send power to the tire that has the most grip. So you could literally essentially be taking a crazy hairpin turn and it's gonna produce power or put power down to the wheels that have the most grip. So like the outer front and inner rear. It's really crazy. If you guys want a really detailed video about it, I would check out Motor Trend's video when they went heads up with an Audi R8 and a stock Evo 10, and the stock Evo 10 was like less than 1/10 of a second behind an Audi R8, which, as you guys can imagine, European cars are insane when it comes to electronics. They are so sophisticated, way more advanced than most Japanese cars. So in talks of if you want to use a road course or do like a time attack build or anything with any sort of grip driving, I would definitely recommend the Evo 10. Not saying you can't do it with the Evo 8 or 9 either, but just stock for stock, what the cars are set up to do, I think the Evo 10 is a little bit better. It's my opinion, you know, from what I've seen, they're typically a little bit faster. If you're gonna go crazy with the Evo 9 and gut it and put a cage in it and you're willing to dump loads of money in it, obviously you can make any car really faster if you're willing to spend a lot of money. But if we're talking for fresh out of the box, what's ready to use and what it's going to be good at, the Evo 10 is going to be great for grip driving, which goes into our next topic if you're going to be drag racing. So if you're going to be drag racing the car, I would definitely recommend an Evo 8 or 9. If your goal is to run a 9-second pass or 8-second pass, Evo 8s and 9s, they are just stupidly fast for drag racing because of that lighter chassis. There's so many 9-second, 8-second Evo 8s and 9s that are coming out nowadays that the recipe to make that happen is not only available, but also the amount of money you'll have to spend to get there is just way less. The Evo 10 is a little bit of a pig when you want to go for drag racing times. I'm not saying that hasn't been done. Obviously English Racing and that ETS Evo 10 broke into the 7s, and it's absolutely crazy in my opinion that the Evo 10 hasn't been around for nearly as long as the Evo 8 9 has, and they basically broke into the 7s with half the amount of time and without the same amount of aftermarket support. Because if you guys aren't familiar, there's way more aftermarket support for the 8 and 9 than there's for the 10. For example, for an Evo 10, there basically are only two standalone options, which is Cyvex or Motec, which Motec is crazy expensive. Not saying Cyvex is cheap either, but there really are two ECU companies that people will typically run. And with the 8 and 9, you know, if you want to get a standalone that's like somewhat cheap, you can go with the Link ECU and it's like $1,500 versus the Cyvex with none of the plugins or fail safes or anything. The Cyvex ECU is like $3 grand. So that's another thing to keep in mind, just how much money you guys want to spend. If you guys, like I said, want a street car, you can put a big turbo on it, give people the gap doing a 40 roll, and just drive the car and have fun, and it's pretty much ready to use. The 10 all the way. If you want something that's going to be more of an extensive project, you're looking to drag race it, or again, you're willing to put more money into it because they are older vehicles and they 9 out of 10 times need more love because people have been beating the crap out of it since 2003 when the car first landed in the States, then the 8 and 9 will be a great option for you. They're both awesome. I personally actually like driving the 10 a little bit more. I love the go-karty feel of the 8 and 9, but the 10 is actually like still pretty rugged, and the way it gets on power is actually really aggressive for a car this size. Anyone who's driven both cars knows what I'm talking about. There's a lot of bad tuners for the Evo 10 too, which kind of sucks. Like, there's a lot of tuners that don't know to tap into the full potential of the car. I'm lucky that the shop I go to, John Dranis at 5150 Racing, does an amazing job with Evo 10s in SoCal. In my opinion, he's the best tuner for the platform. I don't think there's any tuner in SoCal that's, you know, making 670, 680 wheel. So one car we have at the shop made 709 all-wheel horsepower, and it has like 80 or 90,000 miles on the stock block. And it's just crazy to see that that's the potential of the car. They're really fast for what they are. I've seen, you know, my buddy Asusa's car, he raced a GTR that was modified and it was making more power than his car, and he still beat it. In case you haven't seen it, I'm going to post a clip right now. Yeah, so point being is a street car, the Evo 10 is not slow, especially from a 40 roll. Like I said, with that raised red line, if you go with cams and springs, like I said, if you have a tuner that's able to calibrate the car to the full potential, and if you go with a good turbo, some of the precision stuff is pretty laggy. If you're on a built motor, it's definitely a good choice just because you're gonna have tons of top end, and if it's on a built short block, then you can obviously rev it out more and those internals can handle more. But on a stock block, I don't think the precision setup is a great option. You can still get it done, but definitely stick with Borg Warner or Garrett. Those are definitely going to be your best two choices if you choose to go with the Evo 10. So that's pretty much it, guys. I can't really think of any other mechanical differences. Obviously, you know, one is more like a soda can and more raw. As you can imagine, it's an older car. One is more refined. So if you want creature comforts and you want it to be a street car and you don't have to put so much money into actually fixing the car, go with the Evo 10. My personal thing, the only thing I don't like about this car since I've owned it, and this is kind of like a stupid gripe, but most people I've heard about online complain about rattles and squeaks like in the Evo 10, and I don't know anyone out of my friends as an Evo 10 that has this problem, but this car does kind of rattle and squeak a lot. Like the little plastic trims, I've heard like the dash like kind of rattling or little thing. It's really not the biggest deal in the world, but right now since the car isn't really that loud because I have the stock test pipe and it's got the stock manifold and stock turbo and all that good stuff, the rattles and squeaks are pretty loud. I wouldn't say it's unbearable or anything like that, but the Evo 9, when I had it, actually didn't make any weird noises, surprisingly, for being, you know, 14, almost 15 years old. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, if you want to do some kind of road course or time attack build, I would recommend the Evo 10 just because the car is well set up for it with AYC. Put bigger tires on it, you get way more mid-range and way more torque all across the board. And like I said, it's just gonna be so easy to set it up. If you want to do drag racing, stick with 8 and 9. I get the big question a lot why I sold my Evo 9 for one of these, and to be honest with you, if you guys are new to my videos, or you probably heard me say it a million times, I always wanted the Evo 10, but when I got my Super STI, was right around the time the final edition Evo 10 first came out. They didn't have any 2015 GSRs when I was looking for them, and everyone wanted like 55 grand for one, and I was like, you guys are crazy. So I got the STI, enjoyed that for a bit. Then I got the 9 because it was a killer deal when I found it out of state. But I wasn't really too content with it. It had a bunch of little miscellaneous problems I was just kind of over dealing with. And it was a really cool car. I definitely wouldn't mind owning another one, just making it like a kind of a beater Evo, like a track car or something, and just time attack it or road course it. Not so much drag racing. But that concludes today's video, guys. Hope you guys sat through it. I know it's kind of boring, a lot of information. If you guys are in the market for an Evo 8, 9, or 10, I hope this helped you guys out. Like I said, no one has really kind of put that out there, that, you know, about the MyVec or the bigger exhaust ports, the difference between AYC and ACD, because again, don't get those two confused. They are two completely separate things. They are not the same at all. And yeah, I hope it helps you guys choose the right project car for you guys. You know, really think about what you want to use the car for. What are your goals with the car? What do you want to get out of it with all the money you're going to be spending? Because no matter what, it is some money you're going to have to spend if you want to do it right, you know, with quality parts, on top of buying the car. But I hope this helped you guys out. If you liked the video, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell because my upload schedule sucks and is not consistent. We will have a really big shop update now that the new 5150 is pretty much moved over. Fingers crossed my turbo kit is finally there so I can show you guys and reveal it and talk about why I chose it and also some of the differences, as we're going to be going on the quest for around 670, 680 wheel horsepower stock block with that. And I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace out.